What is going on, everyone? Today we are doing a different type of video. We are doing a full garage tour. And when I say garage tour, we are doing these 3 cars up here. We got 2 more out here, and then we're showcasing the full garage down there. We have 8 more additional cars down below. Let's get to it. Starting off with our first car, this is my 1996 Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX. It's a GSX because it has the 4G63T, and it is all-wheel drive. So this car is my second car, actually. I got it for $5 grand in Boulder. It was my second car. I sold my Datsun for it, and I always wanted this because of the Fast and the Furious. So here it is, and luckily I found a GSX. At the time it didn't make a difference, but now knowing what the car is, I prefer to have the GSX. This car has a 16G turbo. I put headers on it, and the previous owner put like new coil packs and all that. I think he said the internals were built. I'm not sure. They used to time attack it at a track we have up north. So I believe they probably are, and you can see this InGen intake. The boost controller here, it's set at 12 pounds. I never messed with it. And then we have a Turbo Smart blow-off valve, and then a Megan Racing strut brace. I have some max speeding rod coils on it right now. The specs aren't that good. I need to get better ones because the wheels are 19s now, so they're even bigger, and the wheel gap is smaller, as you can see here. And the plan is to get stiffer springs to have a really small wheel gap, so really good fitment. And this is a Rocket Bunny version 1 front flare. I got them on both sides. The kit is the same. So the front flares are Rocket Bunny version 1. I cut them over here so it fits the door. It's off a GT86. The kit is made for a GT86. And then these side skirts here are Rocket Bunny version 3. So the only difference is the front flares are version 1 and the skirts and rear flares are version 3. For the GT86, that's the same car. I have to just cut them and make them fit. This side I didn't mock up that well, that's why it's angled up a little bit. It doesn't look that good on this side, but the other side I did a much better job. But we have other things to do before we start mounting those, but we will be making a video for that. And then this back bumper is the same as the Fast and the Furious bumper. It's just a replica I got off eBay. There's nothing really special to it. I just have to fix the fitment because you can see around the taillights. I got to put a metal brace back here, and we will do that in another video. But right now we got other projects we're working on, and you'll see those soon. So these wheels are Wedz Kranze LXZs. They're 19 by 11.5 in the back and 19 by 10.5 in the front. I got them off a friend. They were already powder coated white, and I thought they would look really good on my wide body Eclipse. And since they're big specs, they fill it in perfectly. So that's the wheel setup I'm running. Now let's talk about the interior. This car definitely is rough around the edges. I need to swap this wheel. This was just a placeholder wheel. My real wheel is on my simulator right now. And then these seats need to go. I need definitely new bucket seats, but these are just power GSX factory seats. So if I didn't have so many projects, I would definitely be investing my money into this, but right now this isn't really worth my time. Also, it has a Greddy weighted shift knob and a short shifter along with a stage 2 racing clutch. So the clutch catches really quick, and it's really hard on your leg. If you're not used to it, it will leave a dead spot, but it's just part of the character of this car. And then this mirror tint I got done, I think it was like $500. I bought the tint for $200, and then he installed it for super cheap. Great guy. I really wanted to go with mirror tint. This was like 4 years ago, so it was definitely before it was like really known that much. And I thought it looks really cool in this car, especially with these big windows. It just fills it in so nicely. That is my Eclipse GSX. Now let's move on to this car. This is my 1995 Nissan 240SX S14. And as you can tell, it has an RB25 DET. is from an R33 Skyline GTST. So GTST means rear wheel drive. If it was a GTR motor, it would be an all-wheel drive motor. So this car definitely needs help. You can see the clear coat on the carbon hood is faded, and we will be making a video restoring that. We're gonna be making videos on all these cars since they're all project cars. But this car is my daily driver in the summertime. I'm not gonna daily it in the winter, even though we have a nice day today. It is off the road. But you can see we need to restore this hood and these headlights pretty badly. But the front bumper is an AIT bumper. It's from the early 2000s. They built this car at a shop in Arizona in like 2007. So everything is from that time period. Even the hood, it has a stamping on it. It says VIS Racing in 2007 right there. So everything is period correct from like a Fast and Furious car. That's why I really like this one. I thought it was super cool and it stood out and it draws everyone's attention. The rest of the kit is a Vertex kit. So the side skirt and the back bumper are just Vertex. And then the roof wing is from eBay and the back spoiler is just authentic factory Zenki. Same with the whole front end. The front fenders are authentic. So this car is pretty much just a Zenki that is totally nut and bolt restored because it had 180,000 miles on it. So they put solid bushings. And then of course the RB25 in it. Again, a shop in Arizona did it. This motor had 40,000 miles when I got it, and now it has like 45,000. I didn't put that many on it, and I didn't want to since it's such a bare bones stock engine, and it's just a reliable car for me. I love it. The one thing I did was upgrade the suspension. He had tine coilovers on it, and they were really weak springs. I think they were like 10 and 7 or something. When you would hit a bump, it would burn the paint. So I put 16 in the front and 14 in the rear. So it's super stiff. I'm used to it because I daily this car, but those are pretty extreme and not suited for daily specs, I would say. But this motor just sounds great. I did have a couple issues with it, but after replacing a couple sensors like the crank, the cam, the TPS, I figured out it was just the mass airflow sensor. So they had a 300ZX one on there, and that works great. It works fine for an RB25, but I put a factory RB25 one back on just to have peace of mind to know everything is from Japan, and it's going to be a more expensive part, so it's not cheaply made. These wheels are Vienna Courages. I don't know the specs on these. I think I have 12s in the rear though, and maybe 10s in the front. But these wheels are super cool. I think they go with the theme, and I like the 5-spoke look. Moving on to the interior, we have S15 bucket seats. These are the Spec V seats from the S15, the Autech edition. They're super cool. You can see by the orange pattern in them. And this is just a limited edition steering wheel I got. And I have the factory R33 gauge cluster in there. And that reflects my actual miles on the motor. So that's pretty cool. The radio's from 2007. And then I have S15 seats in the rear. So it's a pretty timeless car. It draws a lot of attention, especially at car shows. And I have blast pipes I got from eBay. Other than that, it's just a stock exhaust. I like to jump this car a lot. That's why the terminals are off. The amp and the subs are DC audio. I just have one 10-inch back here. It kicks really well. I just wanted to leave this car pretty stock though. I don't really want to mess with it because this is how I got the car. It was originally grandma owned, then the shop got it, put it in the swap, and then I got it. And I have all the paperwork. It was a pretty expensive swap, and I got it for an even better deal. So that's the S14. I would love to get another one. I love these cars, especially S15s. So hopefully when those come legal, we can get something. This is a 2003 Nissan 350Z. This car is a DE, but we dressed it up as an HR. It's got the full Nismo kit on. Right now we're working on a video installing these side skirts, authentic Nismo version 3 side skirts. So that's what we're doing here. We made a video installing this authentic Nismo version 3 wing. This one is authentic. We got it on eBay. It was the only one we could find too. We also have a authentic Nismo badge. This ran like $200. So this is not a budget build. We are doing a full makeover on this car, getting it painted and everything. We got a full build series that we're doing. So stay tuned if you want to keep watching this. This is our new wheel setup for it. We have 380 RS wheels. You can also see the date code right here. They start with the year, the month, and then the day. So 2007 these wheels are from, and Nissan stamps them from factory. These are raised wheels. You can see the raise right here. They're one-piece forged wheels, and they're from the 380 RS. What differs from the 380 RS is that's only in Japan, and they only made 300 of them. So this is a 1 of 300 wheel, and the factory Nismo wheels here are just a darker gray, but they look the same. But the color is what sells the 380 RS. And it matches our color pretty nicely. This is our current wheel setup. These are Wedz Kranze Ratzingers. We can't run them anymore, unfortunately, because we have authentic Brembos we got off a real Nismo, and they don't clear. These are too close to the caliper because the calipers are massive now. So we went with the factory 380 RS that comes standard with the Brembos, so of course they will clear. So we will be making a video on how to install Brembos on the Z. And then we also have a set of Nismo rotors, but they are on back order from Nissan. So that's why we're not making this video right now. So the complete front end of this car has been redone. We put on these updated headlights from 06 to 09. They look so much better, and they are LED, so they're much brighter. This is a Nissan Nismo version 3 bumper. We also put the front dampers off an authentic Nismo too, and then we have a Z1 undershroud. We got the bumper through a Nissan dealership, and it was like $1,000. So it's not inexpensive, but it definitely fits pretty much perfect. There are literally no gaps. This bumper is perfect. So I would definitely recommend it. And then we just put the clear corners, but since we're going authentic Nismo, we might swap them out to the typical orange. And this hood right here, we got this also through the dealer. It's an authentic Nissan HR hood. With the Nismo version 3s only being an HR car, we had to get the HR hood. 2007, 2008, they look like this. So we want the whole car to look like a version 3 Nismo. That's why we swapped it out. And it's a super light hood, surprisingly. The engine is just a VQ35DE. It's only got 90,000 miles on it, and it's super clean. It was a one-owner car before we got it. So we're just keeping it nice and clean and reliable. We only had a couple problems with it, being the crank and the cam sensor. So make sure you replace those, and don't get the Hitachi sensors. Get the authentic Nissan sensors because they seed really nicely, so no oil goes by. That's the problem we're having right now, and it's leaking all onto our Z1 undershroud. We're not going to worry about that because we got epoxy, so we don't have to deal with that right now. So for the interior, we have authentic Nismo seats. These are out a California car. So we got these shipped here. They were like $1,000. And then we have authentic Nismo floor mats. Not like that really matters. We might swap out the gauge cluster to a Nismo S-Tune if we can find it. Super rare. And then, of course, the steering wheel. But we like our cruise control. And then we also want to make a video on the Nismo seats, converting them to heated seats, because we had the heated leather seats in this before. So that'd be super fun to do. Also to note, we have a rear Nismo damper. We got it off a car in Wyoming. So this is pretty much a Nismo built by a bunch of other Nismos. So that's a pretty cool and unique build. We're gonna be making tons of videos on this car, so stay tuned for that. What we really need to do is put on this back bumper and get the car painted. Here is our back bumper. It's a Shine Auto back bumper. It's a version 3 Nismo remake, technically, because they don't sell authentic Nismo bumpers anymore. But it's comparable or even better, some would say, because it is reinforced with carbon. But it comes with all the plating on it and everything. So it's gonna mount up perfectly. It comes pre-drilled, same exact specs. So we're gonna have no problem with it. That's the only thing we do not have that's technically authentic. But that is our 350Z. Let's talk about our 1979 Ford F-150 4x4. This is my daily in the wintertime. It is a Ford F-150 with the 400 cubic inch motor. It runs great. The previous owner got it rebuilt pretty much for me because he only put 2,500 miles on it, and the dash reflects that. It's lined up. The one thing I didn't understand, I questioned him on, was why 2,500 miles, why it's not heat resistant paint. And I don't really know the answer to that. I guess they didn't use it, but for a shop to rebuild a motor, how do you not know to use heat resistant paint? But it feels like a brand new motor. It drives smooth. It's a great old truck, really minimal rust. All the lights work. And to note, this was originally red on red on red. So the outside was red, the interior was red, the dash was red. So I'm kind of glad I got the truck with this cover-up paint job. It's like a tan. It might look white on camera, but it's tan with a black stripe. You got brand new wheels, American racing wheels and tires. So it was honestly a really, really good buy. I got it for 10 grand. So I needed something for the winter, and I sold my 74 Camaro LT, and I bought this. So I love it a lot. One thing I'm gonna do is black writing on the back because it goes with the theme. He put brand new catalytic converters on it. So he pretty much got a brand new truck for 10 grand. I love it. I love the look of these old trucks. And then he does have subs behind the seat, which are now mine. So that's great. And then one thing I want to do is take off this hood ornament and put one of those Mack Bulldogs from a tractor trailer. I'll probably make a video on it just for fun to educate you. I'll probably take this stand and put the Bulldog right on it. So that's gonna be cool. That's why I named the truck Big Toro, because in Italian, Toro is bull. So the big bull. So it's pretty much a truck I can daily in the wintertime or anytime and pick up anything. We might have to pick up engines sometimes. What I picked up for $100 the other day was this set of American racing wheels. I got this full set and this 69 SS hood without the louvers. I paid 50 bucks for the louvers. Here's a great guy. You just need to get rid of him. So I got this full set of American racing wheels. They're a little tarnished, but I'll clean them up. And the tires aren't bad at all. They got life in them with the tread, and they're still holding air. So not a bad buy at all, and I couldn't have done it without the truck. Let's move on to my 1969 Dodge Dart. It is a base model car. It's an automatic, and it is a 6-cylinder car. So there's nothing special about it. I just love the body lines. And since it's a 6-cylinder, the kids never beat on it back then. It was a one-owner car, family owned. And I got it for 6 grand. We got it for full price. We felt like giving them the 6. This is the trunk. It is absolutely massive. Back then they had huge trunks, and I love it. I mean, everything about this car, there's not one thing I do not love. You can even see the filler neck for the gas tank. They're giving you all the room. There's no plastic in this car. This is the factory color. I think it's TY bronze. I forget. One of you reached out to me and you told me, and I appreciate that. That's also why I got this for my keychain. It matches pretty closely. But this back end looks like the 69 Roadrunners. I think it looks fabulous. It's almost like a small car, but it's also like a big car. So it's like the perfect size for me and a Mopar. I got the Scat Pack stickers in both of the windows just to be like a memory thing. I think it's super cool. It is a bench seat car, and then of course automatic up here, column shift. And it's got 111,000 miles, pretty much 112,000 miles. Everything works, all the gauges, all the lights, and the radio. It's all there and it all works. So it was a super fun car to buy, and now it's a super fun car to drive around town because it's super reliable. This is our Glass Tag Scoop. It's for a 68 CUDA. It's a 5-inch Hemi scoop. Costed like 500 bucks, but it's an authentic LO23 replica. All we have to do is get those bars that go down here. But we're gonna mount it in a different video. Right now I just have it sitting on top. But like I said before, it's a 6-cylinder. We got the carburetor rebuilt. We sent that into National Carburetors. They rebuilt it for 200 bucks, wasn't much, and it runs super great. The color code is T5 bronze. Right there you can see on the cowl tag, T5 bronze. If I get it painted, I'll probably go back to that, and then I'll put a white stripe on it. Another thing we replaced was this alternator. I didn't make a video on that because that's pretty simple. Replaced the distributor, the cap, the rotor, the plugs, the wires, and the points. So replaced a lot. Now it's super reliable, and I enjoy driving it. Let's move on to our second garage. This is our second garage. It's a 40 by 50 garage, and we currently have 8 cars in here. We could definitely fit more, and we probably will, even though we say we never are gonna buy another car. These are all projects. They're all potential dailies too. We just do not have the time to make them a daily right now. Some of them, like this Fiat, definitely will be my daily in the summertime. But let's start off with this 1991 Nissan 240SX S13. So let's start off with the styling. This is a Rocket Bunny front bumper. Same with the lip, the splitter. It's not mounted, it's just held on right now. Well, it's not mounted to be streetable at least. And then I have a front bash bar. I forget the brand, but I think they're here in Colorado. The full front clip of this car is different. This is how it would look stock from the factory, but everything is off a different car. So both of these front fenders are off a different 240. This hood and these headlights are from my friend's car. His engine caught fire, and that's why there's that on the hood. And I kind of like it. I mean, it's like history because I was there when that happened. So it's kind of cool that it's here now. It's like a piece of memory. These front flares are Rocket Bunny, but I made them sit way lower than they typically do because they typically have them mounted up here, and I don't like the ride height. No wheel can fill that in and make it look good, I think, in my opinion, unless you have bags. I'm running 20K spring rate from BC Coil all the way around, so it's an extremely stiff car. I still got to put the badges on. These side skirts are Origin Labo side skirts. They're a different type than you typically see. I think they're an attack line, not a race line. So they got this up front, and then they have a fin in the back. But I have the fin covered by my rear Rocket Bunny flares. The flares alone from Rocket Bunny costs like $3 grand or something. It was insane. So I did not want to buy any more Rocket Bunny after that. This is my BCL Wing. I forget the name of this. It's been a long time. I think I bought it 2 years ago. But this was also like $1,000. So this car wasn't supposed to be a pricey build. It was supposed to be a daily, and it ended up never being a daily because I just kept building it and spending money on it. And now I don't really want to bring it out because it sits super low, and I don't want to bust up the kit. So that's my dilemma right now, but it's also not a daily driver because it sits really low. So there's no intention to drive it right now. You can see this car has been painted over many times. I met actually all the owners except I believe the first owner that's owned this car, because I got this car for 2,500 bucks without a title. And then I said, if you can give me the lineup of people that own this car, before you, and they did. And then I got the paperwork done, and I gave the guy I bought it off of that had no title, I gave him $1,000 more for helping me out. So I got this car for $2,500, no title, met all the owners, got all the paperwork done. And here we are 2 years later with this car and a clean Colorado title. So there's a lot of history with this car, a lot of drifting too. It has a welded differential, which is also part of the reason I do not want to drive it, because it's not fun, especially with these big wheels. These are work Rezak 2s. They are an 18 by 12.5 in the back and 18 by 11.5 in the front, I believe. I don't know the offset either, but they are extremely deep and they fill in this wheel well perfectly. That's why I went with the 80mm flares from Rocket Bunny. I feel like driving with those big wheels without stiffened axles might snap them, especially with all the pressure from the welded diff. I don't feel like that's that good to do. So that's why I'm holding off on this car right now. Let's talk about the interior. This car would come factory with these seat belts that automatically strap you in, but they got rid of those. They put in these S14 seats. I got the other one in the back of the garage. They also put in this fake bride seat that eventually I want to swap out. It's perfectly clean in here. It's pretty dirty right now, but it's a 5-speed car. It has full interior, including the back seats. They're just laying down. This is the factory windshield with the heads-up display. I think that's really neat, and it's pretty rare for an S13 to have that. I don't know how many miles the motor has, but I believe the body only has 110,000 miles. The engine's been swapped many times. As you can tell by this intercooler piping right here, the slot for it at least, because it's not there anymore. So I would assume they had an SR20 in here. Right now this is a KA24DE, and I was told it's from an S14. You can also tell by the VIN over there, the tag on the firewall. It is a factory KA24DE car, but I believe that's an S14 motor. This is my 1980 Fiat X19. So this is an Italian car. It's made by Bertone. I bought it. It's pretty much a factory car. It's a one-owner car too. I really like the cream interior. If I were to paint this car, it would be red. So the cream goes really well. It's a 5-speed car. It has the bigger motor, which I believe is a 1.5 4-cylinder. The horn is pretty innocent. I swapped the wheel with the Ferrari button, and I swapped these actual wheels. These are Chromadora wheels. They come factory on these Italian cars, and I just put the Ferrari hubcaps. I thought it looked super cool, especially with this X19 badge. This is X19 in Italian, and it looks like a Ferrari. So this is the front. There is no engine in the front. It's a mid-engine car, and it handles super well. It also has 4-wheel disc brakes, so it stops on a dime. It doesn't need power steering because it's such a light car. This is where the engine is. It is mid-engine, so it sits right on the rear wheels. Again, it handles like a champ. I never felt a car that handles this well, especially being this light. All I have to do to it, because I'm not driving it, is the timing belt. That thing has to be replaced. And especially with these cars, the older Italian ones, they have to be replaced every 40,000 miles. That is one thing I have to look into. I might make a video on it because nobody has a video out there. But this car will be a super fun daily. This is our 1967 Camaro. It has a 454, and I believe it is an SS Camaro, even though the fuel cap says RS. That doesn't mean anything because there are no reverse lights down here. They are in the tail lights. So what you can tell from the front is we do have the hideaway headlights. I think it's reproduction. That doesn't really matter. We got the SS badge, which does not tell you that it is an SS, but we're not focusing on that because we got a bigger engine than the SS would even come with. This is a 454 out of a 90s truck, I believe, a 90s Chevy truck. It has fuel injection. You can tell by the FI Tech carburetor. even though technically it's not a carburetor anymore. And then we do not have a cowl tag back here that would tell us what it exactly is. We have another Camaro, a 67 Camaro that we're gonna go over, that does have the tag, and it would be right there, and you can decode it to see what it would truly be. This one doesn't have it, which I would assume they took it for dressing up a different car, to say a different car is an SS, because they were drag racing this car. One thing we do have to do to the front is put on big block springs. You can tell by the VIN it is a V8 car, but not this big of a V8 because the springs aren't rated for this heavy of a motor. They also did front disc brakes, a conversion, and you can tell by the VIN it is a V8 car. I put in this RS steering wheel. It was originally for my car, but this car is more of a driver than mine. So we got some things for it. It's a 4-speed car. There's not much to say because they used to drag race it, but we do have front and rear seats. We do have this blue color right here, which I believe I've only seen on an SS Camaro, a 67 SS Camaro. I don't know if you guys know this is a factory Chevy color. Let me know down below. That'd be super cool to help decode and see what this truly is. But we're gonna be working on this car a lot more. I'm gonna bring my S14 down here, bring this car up to change the clutch, and then to paint this car because this is just primer and we want to do some prep work before we get actual paint. But this car, super reliable, no problems with it. This is our 1972 Oldsmobile 442. It is a W29 car, and it's a factory U-code car. I believe they only made 7% of all 442s as U-code cars. What's cool about the U-code is it is a 455 car. That means we got the big block 455 that would come in the W30 cars, and it is a super rare engine. I believe it's numbers matching, but there's no way I can really tell. I do notice that they resprayed and took out the engine, so you never really know. But we do have the paperwork for it from the factory, the window sticker that says W29. When I got this car, it was smoking a lot. The exhaust wasn't connected. It's kind of like a die-cast car, a model car, because he didn't really put it back together after he got paint. So I'm gonna have to go through this entire car and put everything back together, including the emblems. It was originally from New York, and I guess it was there in 2012. So it hasn't been in Colorado that long, meaning it's got a lot of salt damage, and we're gonna have to replace and do a lot of body work on these quarters, which is typical. The trunk is fine though. There's no rust in the trunk, surprisingly. And it's more the back quarters. We got no problems with the car now. It's all factory original. We got the door cards we still have to put on for the front. The original color was this gold color that reflects the interior. We're gonna have to do some work, but at least we have the original radio. That's always something hard to find. I don't know the history on this car, but there are tons of parts in this trunk. We're probably gonna do a full build series on this car eventually. Maybe after the Camaro, we bring it up and we start working on it to make it a daily again. All I did to this car so far was put on these wheels. I believe these are off a Corvette Stingray with disc brakes, these Chevy Rally wheels, and then Kelly Charger tires came on it. I don't know what Kelly Charger wheels are, but now we're moving on to my 1997 Mitsubishi Eclipse GST. The GST is different from the GSX. GSX is all-wheel drive. GST is 4G63 with front-wheel drive. So it's pretty much the same car, except we do not have a differential going to the rear end. We just have front-wheel drive. That's a pretty interesting decision instead of making it rear-wheel drive. I feel like if these cars were rear-wheel drive, they would be extremely popular, like in the drifting scene and pretty close to a 240, especially being turbo. I feel like they would be extremely sought after. This one I've seen for like 12 years driving down Sheridan in Colorado. I've seen it for like 12 years and I always wanted it. And the day I was gonna go knock on his door, the car was gone. Like legit that day, I was like, wow, how was it gone? But now I mean, it's here, and it looks exactly the same. It was always this yellow car with this big yellow spoiler and these white decals. So I'm just happy this car is here, and the previous owner didn't wreck it. I bought it off the previous owner for $2,500, so it was a great deal. Has a clean title, no problems except the engine. The kid gave it rod knock. He said he was just cruising down the highway with his friend, and it just stopped. And I was like, well, I don't know if I believe that, but we do have rod knock in this engine. I don't know if it's lower end or upper end of the engine. I was gonna originally just rebuild it in the car, not take it out and rebuild it, just check the bottom, the pan, and see everything, but I didn't even get to that point because we have so many other cars we're working on. So I bought a 6-bolt engine off a 91 Plymouth Laser RS. It's a 6-bolt motor, has supposedly 70,000 miles. I don't know if that's true, but we're gonna swap it into this instead of having this 7-bolt motor that are technically prone to crank walk. I don't know if that's true, but I mean, every article has that, somebody saying that. So we're gonna swap out the potential crank walk motor that did get crank walk to a 6-bolt motor that has thicker rods, apparently. So that's gonna be a really good build. I think it's gonna be super fun. They have a front mount intercooler over here, and I don't know anything else about this car really. We do have the original window sticker from the dealer. You could tell it was a silver car before, and then they put this Mako paint job. They got some of it done. I think it was like an $800 paint job or something from Mako. So it was kind of expensive, but they got the door jambs painted yellow and everything. The coolest part about this car is the body kit. So this is a Robocar or Blitz body kit. I don't know if it is authentic. I didn't take it off to see stampings behind it or any paperwork, but it is a white kit telling by the front bumper. My kit, when I got it reproduction for my GSX, it was always a black kit. So a white one being built in the early 2000s, it's pretty likely to see this would be a Blitz kit or Robocar. Talking about these wheels, I might swap the Ratzingers on these because they are the same bolt pattern. These are 19-inch MSR wheels. I don't know anything about them, but they don't hold air that well, and these tires are definitely dry rotted. They're just burner wheels. They're probably good back then, but right now I'm not going to be rocking them. Probably go with the Ratzingers, probably drop it to the ground just a little bit maybe. I think it would be a great daily once I put that 6-bolt engine into it. And you can see right here what I was talking about with the white kit being white back here. So if you guys have any information on any of this or any of these cars, I'd love to hear your opinions. Drop them down below. I'll try to respond to every comment that I can. There's nothing really special about the interior. It's all pretty stock, except he dyed it white. I think it's pretty cool because it goes with the white decals on the outside. And it flows as an early 2000s theme pretty well. I don't know if it's everybody's taste, probably not. But for me, I'm definitely going to keep it. Right now, this car is a project. And you can notice this car does not have a sunroof. So that is good for the Fast and Furious Eclipse scoop that they put on the top. This is our 1970 Dodge Super B. Under the hood, we have a 383. It's not a 440 car. It's factory 383. I don't think the motor's original. I think it's from a 70 Cuda. I believe that's what we were told. It's been a long time. The factory color is dark metallic burnt orange. You can see it from the back on the firewall. That's the factory color, but we are painting it plum crazy. This is a factory 1970 plum crazy, not the new plum crazy. It's a little different, a little darker, and more period correct. This thing is super long. It's almost like a Cadillac. It's super straight too. There's nothing wrong with it. We just have to put the interior back and get it painted. But since this is primer, we are supposed to let the car sit for a couple years before painting over primer because it could crack just like it did back there. So we might have to get the car re-primered at this point, or at least touched up before painting at least. We got these side scoops. These are off a 70 RT, Coronet RT, not a Super B, but we got them made. We got some guy with factory scoops, send them in to this guy that remakes fiberglass, and now he sells them, I believe. That was like 6 years ago, so it was a long time. I don't have any links on it, but that's factory 70 Coronet RT scoops on a 70 Super B. This is the interior. I know it's a little dark. It definitely gets dark quick now. It's a factory automatic car with bucket seats and front disc. So it's actually a pretty rare package. It's got some nice upgrades to it. This steering wheel is off a 70 CUDA, I believe. It never came with the factory one. We're going to be swapping out these seats for white seats and, yeah, a full white interior except black carpet, I believe, and black center console. And then we have a factory CUDA radio in there too. So it's a lot of CUDA parts. We have authentic Scat Pack stickers. So it's a pretty cool car. You never see them on the road. I never seen another one in my life, actually. Going to all these car shows, you never see them. They're really rare cars, and if you do, it's more than likely a 70 Coronet. 68 and 69 look different, and the 71, 72s look different, even though those were extremely limited runs. 70 was only made for 1 year with this body style and the grille. So it's a really rare car. The wheel setup on it right now are just centerline wheels. It's more of a drag car setup with wider wheels in the back and less wide wheels in the front. They're probably 8s in the front and 12s in the rear. So it's a good setup. It looks good with this long of a car. You can't have too big in the back or too small in the back. And this is what the rear end looks like. Of course, we got to have that Mopar exhaust tips, the rectangle exhaust. The next car we have in here is the 1967 Camaro RS. So we have an SS Camaro with a 454. This one is a RS Camaro with no engine. I have a 327 engine up in that garage. That is a builder engine. It's out of a truck, and I'll probably be throwing that in here because it makes really good power at high RPM, which is more of a drag car setup. Ideally, I want to go away from the drag car. I want to keep things like the slicks in the rear end of this car because it's all metal. But the plexiglass windows, I think they're super cool, and I might run them. But this car probably won't be a daily for a very long time. The full front clip of this car is fiberglass, including the hood, the fenders, the front, the whole front clip. So ideally, go back to the hideaway headlights like we have on our SS Camaro. This car was originally butternut yellow with a black vinyl top. I decoded the VIN and the cal tag, and that's what it said. It's a factory V8 manual car, and it was actually highly optioned. So it's a super cool car. I want to go back to that eventually. This is what the interior looks like. I would like to go back to factory gauges, factory wheel, factory 4-speed, because right now it's set up for a Power Glide with a 350, a small block 350 and Power Glide. So I'd keep it like this, except swap out the front end, and instead of being an automatic with the Power Glide, go back to a 4-speed with ideally a 350. So make it back to like factory. I also have this 69 Camaro rear end for it. It was already sanded, blast coated, whatever. So they did the hard work for me. It's not locked up, and I have the leaf springs that go with it. Right now I have a Ford 9-inch in the rear, and it's tubbed. Ideally go to this and then front disc brakes. This is our last car on the list. Hopefully we will get more cars and show you guys more content. But we got tons of projects. This one we bought off eBay. It's a 1976 Lancia Scorpion. So in the United States, they're called Scorpions. Everywhere else, including Italy, they're called Monte Carlos. But they couldn't do that here because they already had the Chevy Monte Carlo. So they couldn't capitalize on the name. This one is a 1976 Scorpion. They only made, I believe, 1,100 of them. Or, yeah, I believe 1,100. And there's only less than 500, I believe. There's a registry, and it's been a long time since I looked. But if you guys know the exact number, let me know down below. This one is number 137, I believe. It was first here in Colorado. Then the guy bought it and shipped it out to North Carolina or New Hampshire. And then we brought it back here to Colorado. So it's kind of funny that we got one that was originally from Colorado. We bought it off eBay. A lot of people bid on it, and we got it for 10 grand. It's like the Fiat. It's a mid-engine 4-cylinder car. I think this one is a 1.3 or 1.4 liter, and my Fiat's a 1.5. So they're pretty similar. But this one's unique. They only made this body style for 2 years with an 1,100 production run. So it's an extremely rare car. This exhaust is an ANSA, A-N-S-A exhaust, I believe. And it was popular back then, but now it's a highly optioned, rare thing to see. The car handles great. It's an extremely reliable car, except we just have to change the timing belt. Let's move on to the interior. This is what it looks like. Everything works, including the lights and everything. The battery's almost dead, but here is the horn. It's an air horn. It sounds the same as something from like a Ferrari back then. Same time period. The motor also only has 40,000 miles on it. Well, the motor and the body only have 40,000 miles. And it is a 5-speed car. It's super rare. There's tons of room. The trunk is absolutely massive. And I think the red color is the only color for these cars. If you guys have seen these in person, let me know down below. I'd love to hear more about these cars since there's no information on them. Eventually, I want to work on this, just do some maintenance to it and drive it around. Maybe make a couple cinematics on it to put some more content out on YouTube and the internet for these cars. This car was designed by Pininfarina. My Fiat was designed by Bertone. Two highly known Italian automakers. They helped design the Ferrari and Lamborghini and Alfa Romeo, cars like that. So everything is pretty much off a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. They all use the same parts, especially things like the door handles and the keys. They all look identical. Thank you guys so much for making it this far. We really appreciate your support. Make sure you drop a comment down below on what car was your favorite out of all of these. We have tons of future videos planned, and we're going to be working on all those cars down below. See you guys in the next one.